WROC in Rochester. This is News 8 at 11 in high definition.
Good evening, everyone. Get ready for another wild swing in our weather.
Yeah, tonight, as we take a look over downtown Rochester, things are changing in the weather. Temperatures will drop dramatically. Strong winds are moving in. And let's go back to Chief Meteorologist Scott Hetzko with an update. Scott?
Yeah, that is right, guys. Good evening to you. Those strong winds, I'm glad you mentioned it, because here's what we expect through the overnight. You want to see these numbers go up. Actually, you may not want to, but they are going to, whether we like it or not. Through the overnight, winds will be over 20, 30 miles an hour with gusts that could be up to 50 or 60 miles an hour through the day tomorrow. You can see 5, 6 o'clock, still going to have that strong wind to deal with. You're looking at future winds in miles per hour right now. Exacerbating that will be the cold air coming in through the overnight. Here's numbers at midnight. Watch them go on down. So by the time you're heading out to work tomorrow, 7, 8, 9 o'clock, we're already below or at freezing as we go through the rest of the day. By the time you drive on home, have dinner, we're going to be in the teens in Honeoye, maybe upper teens in the Naples area, and then through the overnight, look at the numbers get even colder. So by early morning on Friday, we're talking mid-teens and lake snows at that time. We'll give you much more on the snowfall we expect for Friday, the weekend, and Punxsutawney Phil all ahead. Coming up. Back to you.
Thank you, Scott. Well, the countdown continues to the Super Bowl. Sports director John Kutchko is the only local sportscaster in New Orleans.
And he joins us live again tonight from outside the Superdome to give us a behind-the-scenes look at what it takes to put this broadcast on the air. Johnny?
Hey guys, good to be with you once again tonight. Yes, over the last 7 years, the NFL has seen an increase in viewership when it comes to the Super Bowl. And over the last 3 years, they've set a ratings record each time of the Super Bowl. An estimated 54 million households across America will be tuned in to Super Bowl 47 on Sunday. And at the center of that broadcast, play-by-play man Jim Nantz.
For any TV network broadcasting the Super Bowl, the level of commitment is enormous. In this case, CBS Sports will use over 60 cameras. And the man who will be the face of the coverage, veteran broadcaster Jim Nantz.
I always envision when I'm doing the game, it's being watched in a party or in a party atmosphere or in a group setting. They're not even listening to us. Who are you kidding? So I'm excited. This is my 5th Super Bowl broadcast overall. And, it's just a great honor to be entrusted with it.
Nantz, working alongside analyst Phil Simms, like the players, has had enough of the hype.
I mean, I'm ready for the game right now. I've read all the releases, all the newspaper reports, everything has been on the internet. I've done the Ravens a number of times this year. I needed to get up to speed a little bit with the 49ers. I'll be at their practice later in the week, visiting with coaches and players. We're ready.
With all the fancy technology, the bells and whistles, the premise for Jim Nantz is a simple one.
The key is let the picture speak for itself. I dial it back a little bit in this game, to be honest. I realize this is the Super Bowl. They're not watching to listen to me. They're watching to watch the game.
And I asked Jim, do you ratchet up the preparation for a game of this magnitude? He said, no, I treat it like any other game. And he admitted, enough of the hype. He's anxious for the kickoff to arrive on Sunday. You talked about the wind at the top of the broadcast. Very windy here today. High wind warnings throughout the day. The temperatures dropped about 30 degrees from this time last night. In the 40s here in the Big Easy, but it's going to get a lot warmer by the weekend. I'm John Kutchko live. Great talking to you guys. I miss you in Rochester. See you soon.
Okay, Johnny, have fun. We've got a lot more Super Bowl content at rochesterhomepage.net, including John's daily photo galleries and pictures from all the Super Bowls he's covered in the past. This is his 15th. Go to rochesterhomepage.net. Look for the Big Game 2012 tab on the front page. And who do you think's going to win and why? Send us a tweet at #SBROC and let us know what you think about Super Bowl 47. All new at 11 at a time when local governments are being asked to account for every tax dollar. We have proof of the lasting value of your local firehouse.
In Rochester today, after a city man was shot and wounded, he ran to the Hudson Avenue Fire Station for help. Hudson Avenue is one of 15 firehouses around the city. And as Tina Shively reports now, it serves as a safe haven for people who live in that neighborhood. Tina?
Yeah, Maureen, the Hudson Avenue Firehouse has been there for 100 years. Like all the other firehouses in Rochester, it's more than just a place to store trucks and equipment. Firehouses help keep neighbors safe.
You see all these young people getting killed or whatever. I don't see nothing improving.
Hope Canales was shocked to hear a 20-year-old man was shot on Hudson Avenue just steps from her front door. What happened next was just another day at work for nearby firefighters. They deal with life-threatening danger firsthand where they work and live.
And the captain of Engine 16 came walking through, said that we have a run out front. So it came out front and we had a person that had been shot.
Lieutenant John Whitley and his staff of 7 got to work quickly on the shooting victim, doing what they could to stop his bleeding while waiting for the ambulance. Whitley says there are a fair amount of shootings in that neighborhood, and many nights firefighters are called into action to help. No engine required.
Just about everyone in the neighborhood is very aware that this is a safe place to come to, and if there's a problem of any sort, our doorbell rings quite a bit.
The Hudson Avenue Firehouse has a glass front control room that gives them a bird's eye view. There's help available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's true for every one of the city's 15 firehouses. They also staff one in West Brighton. These days, almost everyone has a cell phone, but for someone who is without a phone at the time of an emergency, they can just pull this outdoor fire alarm on every firehouse in the city. The alarm triggers the nearest crew to respond. The Rochester Fire Department has 94 uniformed men and women on duty around the clock.
That's what we're here for. It's a bunch of coiled springs.
Police are still investigating the shooting. Whitley is happy he and his crew were there to help.
Everybody knows their job and they just do it.
Now, the Rochester Police Department has a POD, or blue light camera, at that same intersection. There are over 100 of those cameras in the city that, along with shot spotter technology, alerts the police department to problems even before the 911 call comes in. Tina Shively, News 8.
Tina, thanks. The city of Rochester employs 476 firefighters, but critics say the department is stretched thin. There are currently 20 vacancies. The fire department just hired 24 new recruits in November.
Happening right now, an emotional public hearing is still going on in Newtown, Connecticut. State lawmakers are considering policy changes after the shooting at the nearby Sandy Hook Elementary School. This happening in December. 20 children and 6 adults were killed by a gunman. Many of those testifying this evening, parents of those kids. Most pushed for new gun laws. A few did not.
We stop being something to be proud of when we love our guns more than we love our children.
The lawless do not observe gun controls, restrictions, or regulations, and this leaves good and lawful citizens at an unjust disadvantage against the lawless.
Tonight, speaker after speaker received standing ovations after they talked. It was the last of 4 hearings before the Connecticut State Legislature considers writing new gun control laws.
Meanwhile, strong words today from the NRA on gun control. Wayne LaPierre speaking to the Senate Judiciary Committee on gun violence. He said the focus should be on more aggressive prosecution of gun criminals. Also testifying today, Gabrielle Giffords and her husband, former astronaut Mark Kelly. Giffords was shot in the head in a mass shooting 2 years ago. She told the committee to be bold and take action now.
New York's new gun law may be to blame for a dramatic drop in Governor Cuomo's approval rating. A new Quinnipiac poll was out today, and the governor's rating went from an all-time high of 74% last month to 59% after the gun laws were passed. The governor had been soaring high since he was elected. Not surprisingly, his approval rating in homes without guns was higher than in homes with guns.
Well, some public jobs are on the line tonight. After deciding not to raise tolls, the state thruway is laying off hundreds of workers. 234 people are being let go, both at the Thruway Authority and the state canal system, which is funded by Thruway Tolls. In December, the authority dropped a plan to raise tolls by 45%. 192 Thruway workers and 42 at the canal system got notices that they are being laid off. The authority says the layoffs will save about $20 million.
A neighbor who had a stray bullet enter right through a wall into his apartment during yesterday's officer-involved shooting in downtown Rochester. He tells us police did the right thing, and the chief agrees. Eddie Guy showed us the photos he took of the bullet hole in his wall. He lives in a VOA housing facility right across from the Federal Building in downtown Rochester. Guy said he heard police ask his neighbor, Timothy Powell, repeatedly to put down a knife and come out. Backup was called after Powell wrestled with an officer. Police say Powell then threw bleach on 4 officers. They released a taser. When the taser didn't work, 2 officers fired 1 round each.
Well, listen, I'm not a big fan of the cops, but I know they did everything they needed to do just to keep everybody else in the building safe, and they gave him every opportunity in the world. You know what I'm saying? I commend them on what they did.
Based on our preliminary review, we believe that their response and the use of deadly physical force was consistent with their training. The investigation will be submitted to the grand jury, and they'll make a determination in terms of justification.
RPD officers Antonio Gonzalez and James Ott fired those shots. Both are on paid administrative leave while the department investigates. Powell hasn't yet been charged.
Family members tell us an Irondequoit man probably wouldn't have made it out of his burning home if neighbors hadn't come to the rescue. Stephen Funk has Huntington's disease. His home on Tamarack Drive caught fire yesterday afternoon. Neighbor Sean Rist says he and next-door neighbor Keith Collins heard an explosion, and when they ran outside, they saw the home in flames. Rist knew Funk wouldn't be able to escape by himself because his motor skills are so limited.
Keith Collins and myself ended up breaking windows to ventilate because the smoke was already overcoming the property. Tried to get through the front door, but we just couldn't. It was locked, so I ended up running home and getting a sledgehammer and breaking down the door. And honestly, I didn't want him to burn alive. It sounds, that's what it was. And I knew he didn't have the wherewithal to get out on his own, so just had to act. Yeah.
Firefighters arrived shortly after and pulled Funk from his home. Funk suffered smoke inhalation and is in guarded condition tonight at Strong. The cause of the fire is not yet known.
Meanwhile, firefighters from all local departments are urging people to make sure they have working smoke detectors. This after a recent string of house fires in the area. Smoke detectors should be on every level of your home, including every bedroom, and the batteries need to be changed twice a year. Firefighters say smoke detectors are cheap insurance that saves lives. And if you aren't sure if your smoke detectors work, your local fire department is happy to come to your house and perform an inspection.
Coming up on News 8, yellow dots will soon be popping up across the area. We'll tell you what these mean.
Plus, the Bills have unveiled their new ticket prices for next year's. Good news for some, not so good news for others. Scotty?
Are they free? Free tickets? I'll take them. Hey, 64 today. That was free. Free warm air. But guess what? Big change is coming. You'll hear about them if you stay here.
You're watching the team you can trust. Kevin Doran, Maureen McGuire, Rochester's most accurate forecast with Chief Meteorologist Scott Hetzko and Sports Director John Kutchko. This is News 8 at 11 in high definition.